we will discuss some more poverty alleviation programs, that is the component of national social assistance, the component of national social assistance programs, right? So already I have mentioned this about in the previous class, that is shortly I use NSAP. So this program was launched in 1995, so on the Independence Day of 1995, where it started as a 100% centrally sponsored program, right? Where the purpose of this program is to provide social assistance benefit to the poor households. The aim of this program is to provide social assistance benefit poor people, households, poor households, right? So this is what the main part of the program, main object of the program. So this entire social assistance program, right? It is based upon the objectives of Constitution mentioned in Article 41 as well as Article 42 of the Constitution. Alright, so that is duty of the state to provide as mentioned in DPSP, right? So the main features of NSAP, right? It has three components. NSAP has three components. One is National Old Age Pension Scheme. One is National Old Age Pension Scheme. Shortly we use NOAPS. NOPS. National Family Benefit Scheme. National Family Benefit Scheme. Right? And third component, National Maternity Benefit Scheme. National Maternity Benefit Scheme. So if you take National Old Age Pension Scheme, so if you take this National Old Age Pension Scheme, where under the scheme, right, old age pension of 75 rupees per month, right, is given to the beneficiary, that is a person who is 65 years or above, right, and who is destitute in the sense of living, right? So a pension of 75 rupees per month, it is given to the all those persons 65 years of age and above who is a destitute, that is who has no regular means of living, or who has no regular means of income to live, or who has no support of the family members, or there is no other source of income. So in order to determine destitution, the criteria that is used is determined by the concerned states, right? This is one thing. Coming to National Family Benefit Scheme. National Family Benefit Scheme. So under this, a sum of 1000 rupees is provided in cash, right? In cash, in case of death of the primary breadwinner due to natural or accidental cause, right? So a sum of 10,000 rupees is given to, right, the family is provided in case of death. In case of death of the primary breadwinner, in case of primary death winner, right? So where this death can be death caused either because of natural causes or because an accidental death, so the head of the family, right, after the breadwinner is given this benefit, right, and the primary breadwinner is defined as a member whose earning contributes substantially to the household income and who is more than 18 years and less than 65 years of the age. And the right, so the breadwinner here is the one who contributes significantly for the income of the individual, right? So the substantial income comes from the breadwinner, and who is 18 years of age, above of 18 years and below of 65 years. Alright, the bereaved household should qualify as a BPL according to the criteria prescribed by the government of India. So the family should be considered as BPL family according to the criteria mentioned by the government. Third one is National Maternity Benefit Scheme. National Maternity Benefit Scheme. So a lump sum cash assistance of rupees 500 is provided to the pregnant women of the right, who belongs to a BPL household, and this is given for first two live births provided the pregnant woman is above of 19 years, right? So here a cash assistance of 500 rupees, a cash assistance of 500 rupees is provided to a pregnant woman, all right, who belongs to a household. This pregnant woman belonging to a household of BPL. It is a BPL household. So this cash benefit is given for first two births, first two live births. Alright, and the pregnant woman should be age of above 19 years, age of above 19 years. Alright, the maternity benefit is dispersed in one installment. Alright, so this benefit is given in a single installment, alright, in between 12 to 18 weeks prior to the delivery. 12 to 18 weeks prior to delivery, right? So this is what about the National Maternity Benefit Scheme, right? So these are the three subcomponents of National Social Assistance Program. Remember, so these programs, all right, they were implemented right from the inception of National Social Assistance Program in 2000. All right. So I want to mention one thing. In 2001, the National Maternity Benefit Scheme was subsequently transferred from Ministry of Rural Development to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, right? So this program, which was originally implemented by Ministry of Rural Development, it was transferred from this Ministry of Rural Development to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, right? So now it is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. From 2001 onwards is the implementing Ministry of National Maternity Benefit Scheme, right? So this is one thing. In 2000, The government of India has announced Annapurna scheme. The government of India has announced Annapurna scheme, where Annapurna scheme provides the food security. So even I think we have mentioned this in the last class. Food security to see to the indigent senior citizens. Indigent senior citizens, senior citizens of age of 65 years and above. 65 years and above. Alright, where under this program, right, and those senior citizens who are not covered under, who are not covered under uh, targeted public distribution scheme. We know that TPDS was introduced in 1997, right, by revamping the universal public distribution system, right, UPDS to TPDS. So all those senior citizens who are not covered under this TPDS, they are given basic they are been given food security as well as nutritional security under Annapurna scheme. So this Annapurna scheme is implemented as a part of National Social Assistance Program. So I want to make this correction. So this Annapurna scheme is implemented as a part of National Social Assistance Program. Alright. So this is what about NSAP. In 2009, the government of India has introduced two new programs as a part of National Social Assistance Program, and the existing programs were renamed as Indira Gandhi National Old Age Pension Scheme. First one. Second one, Indira Gandhi National Widow Pension Scheme. Right. So this is a new component added in 2009. National Widow Pension Scheme. Right. Third one was, right, National Indira Gandhi National Disabled Pension Scheme. National Disabled Pension Scheme. So both second and third, they were introduced in 2009. And fourth component of this is Indira, what do you call, Indira National Family Benefit Scheme. So which was the original scheme. And fifth one, Annapurna scheme. So as of 2009 till date, so these are the components of NSAP. These are the components of NSAP. Let us have a look over Indira Gandhi National Widow Pension Scheme. So under this National Widow Pension Scheme, the eligible age is 40 years. So widows age of more than 40 years, right? They are given a pension of 300 rupees per month. 300 rupees per month until they attain the age of 80 years. And after 80 years, they are given a pension of 500 rupees per month. They are given a pension of 500 rupees per month. So this is what Indira Gandhi National Widow Pension Scheme. Coming to National Disability Pension Scheme, right? So under this, the pensioner, the eligible age is 18 years and above. The eligible age is 18 years and above. The disability level should be 80%. The disability level should be 80%, right? The amount of pension given, right, is 300 per month till they attain the age of 80 years. 80 years, and after 80 years it is 500 rupees per month, right? So from 18 to 80 years it is 300 rupees, and after 80 years it is 500 rupees per month. So DAFs are also made eligible uh, for availing the pension. So dwarfs are also eligible for availing the pension under National Disability Pension Scheme, right? So these are the two new schemes which were added in 2009, right? So this is about National Social Assistance Program. So here we see, right, pension is been given. So this is an income support. These are income support schemes. So they are social security, income security, and food security, which is ensured to old age, widows, and disabled. So this is what the social security net. Social security net that is given to different individuals, right? So this is what about one of the approach used by Government of India in alleviating the poverty. Next, coming to land development programs. So let me even have a glance on land development programs so that we can have a complete picture of poverty alleviation programs in India, right? So if you take this land development programs, so land is seen as one of the important social and economic infrastructure for the individuals, particularly the people living in rural areas, right? And the usable land, the usable land is very less in India. So Government of India, right from 1960s, right from the fourth 5-year plan, it started programs, right, towards improving the quality of the land, improving the quality of the land. So here I'll try to mention some of the area development programs launched by Government of India. So if you take this area development programs, UPSC is continuously asking questions on these programs. Every year you find a question on this program, on poverty alleviation programs, employment generation programs, every year, right? So that is the reason why we are focusing on this issue of poverty alleviation programs. So these area development programs are to be implemented exclusively on watershed basis. So these programs are implemented exclusively on watershed basis. So these programs and activities are to be confined to the identified watersheds of about 500 hectares. So these projects and activities are to be confined to the watersheds, to the identified watersheds of 500 hectares, and these projects should be spanned and completed within a period of 4 to 5 years, right? Watershed areas of 500 hectares. So these programs should be completed. right? Programs should be completed within a period of 4 to 5 years, right? So all these, most of these projects are, these projects should cover the villages in particular. These watershed projects should cover villages in particular, and these projects should ensure effective participation of people, effective participation of people through PRIs, Gram Panchayats, and other local bodies, right? District Rural Development Agency and or Jilla Parishad. District Rural Development Agency or Jilla Parishad should be nodal agencies, should be nodal agencies at the district level to act as ZP or nodal agencies, right, to act as facilitator, provider of finances and technical assistance. So they are providers, facilitators of financial and technical assistance and technical assistance, right? So these are the basic approach of area development programs, right? So these are the principles of bringing development of areas, right? So let me talk about different area development programs in India. One is drought prone area development program. Drought prone area development program. This program was started in 1969. Just want to clarify the year in which this program was started. So I'm sorry, this program was started in 1973-74. Drought prone area development program launched in 73-74 by the Union government, right, to tackle the problems faced by the fragile areas, right, to tackle the problem faced by, tackle problems faced by fragile areas, right, which are, fragile areas are those areas which are facing the threat of drought constantly. So those areas where there is a threat of what do you call, drought constantly. So these areas which are characterized by large human and cattle population, right? They are characterized by large human and cattle population who continuously impose a pressure on the areas, continuously impose a pressure on the areas. So DPEP mainly aims at minimizing the adverse effects of droughts on production of. So the main purpose, the main aim of this DPEP, right, is to minimize adverse effects of droughts on crop production, right, livestock and productivity of land. Crop production, adverse effects on livestock, productivity of land, water, effects on water and human resources and human resources. So this is the major objective of DPEP, and it also aims at promoting overall economic development and improving. So it also aims at promoting overall economic development, as well as socio-economic conditions of the resource poor and disadvantaged sections, improving of socio-economic conditions of poor and disadvantaged sections. So it is this is what about a DPIP, right? Coming to desert development program. Coming to desert development program, another area development program is DDP. So the name itself says that this program is aimed at promoting the conditions of desert areas. It is aimed at promoting of desert areas or development of desert areas, right? So this program was launched, desert development program was launched in 1977-78. It was launched in 1977-78, right? So the major areas are hot desert areas of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Haryana, and cold desert areas of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh. So the major areas focused are hot desert areas and cold desert areas. So the only cold desert in India is in Ladakh. So it is in Jammu Kashmir in 1977-78. So Ladakh is the only cold desert. Coming to hot desert, it is Rajasthan, Gujarat, Haryana. Alright. So this is what desert development program. So desert development program envisages, right, envisaged as an essentially land-based activity, right? So it is envisaged as a land-based activity where, right, the purpose, where the aim is to restore the ecological balance. The main aim is to restore the ecological balance, right, by conserving, developing, and harnessing land, right? So conservation, development, and harnessing, CDH, of water, livestock, and human resources. Alright. So the major objectives of this program is combating drought and uh, desertification, encouraging restoration of ecological balance, restoration of ecological balance, right? Mitigating the adverse impacts, mitigation of adverse impacts, promoting economic development of village communities, promotion of economic development of village communities, improving socio-economic conditions of poor, improving socio-economic conditions of the poor. Alright, so this is what desert development program. Alright, so in 1989-90, another component has been implemented in the name of integrated integrated wasteland development program. So it was implemented in 1989-90, right, wherein wastelands are being developed with active participation of the stakeholders. So it is mainly aimed at wasteland development, by using active participation of users, right? So it is seen as 100% centrally sponsored scheme. It is 100% centrally sponsored scheme, right? So the activities that are covered under this wasteland development is promotion of village, right, promotion of micro and village level watershed plans, promoting village or micro level watershed plans. Right, so here DRDAs and Jilla Parishads are used as nodal agencies. DRDA and Jilla Parishad are used as nodal agencies in the implementation of the program. Right? So the activities that are performed are primarily it is providing irrigation, soil and moisture conservation, promoting plantation of trees, shrubs, right, grasses, legumes and pasture lands, plantation activities, right, encouraging natural regeneration, encouraging natural regeneration, right? So promotion of agroforestry and horticulture, so these are the main activities. Wood substitution, fuel wood conservation. So these are the major activities done or undertaken under integrated watershed development program. So these are what you call another we have command area development program. Where under this command area development program right? The focus was on uh, providing irrigation for the potential areas. So this program was launched in 1974-75. Command area Development Program, launched in 1974-75, to narrow the gap between irrigation potential created and uh, actual utilization of irrigation schemes. 1974-75, narrowing the gap between irrigation potential narrowing the gap between irrigation potential and the irrigation usage. Right? So this aims at full utilization of irrigation potential. Full utilization of irrigation potential. So the purpose of this program is to bring barren lands and wastelands towards agriculture usage. That is what the main aim of this Command Area Development Program, CADP. Right? So these are different land development programs. Right? Apart from this, right, we have housing programs. Housing programs like Indira Awas Yojana, right? Valmiki Ambedkar Awas Yojana, shortly called as VAMBAS, right? And Housing for All. Housing for all. So housing is one of the vulnerability faced by the poor people. So poverty is also housing for all is, right, the recent scheme, right? So housing vulnerability, we have social vulnerability, economic vulnerability, right, housing vulnerability. So all these are different kinds of vulnerabilities faced by poor people. So these are different housing programs, right? So overallly we have discussed the poverty alleviation programs as well as employment generation programs, right? So with this I'll stop the class here.